In my room here at the monastery over my bed, I have a small copy of a fresco from an old Roman church showing the 12 apostles seated in a long line around Jesus in the kingdom of heaven. Jesus is seated in the middle of them on a throne with Mary at his right, and on the other side John the Baptist on his left, and there's angels all around them. The apostles, they look all pretty much alike, the same size, bright clothing, their faces radiant, as you would expect to be in heaven. And you can tell who most of them are. For example, Peter with his bushy hair and beard, he sits at the head of the line on one side. Paul, the apostle with his bald head and his angular face with sword, he sits close by on the other. The rest of the apostles you can identify by the signs they carry that show how they were martyred. But the fresco isn't trying to tell the story of the apostles' earthly lives. It's telling you that they made it to the kingdom that Jesus promised to those who follow him. They're with Jesus. And not only did they make it to heaven individually, but they represent all of those who throughout the world have heard their message and will one day be with them. So our church is founded, we say, on the apostles. We share in the promise that was made to them. And in one of our prayers we say, from their place in heaven, they guide us still. So that's why I have the picture over my bed. I hope they'll get me in. But the apostles are not only heavenly guides, they're also earthly examples. They lived here on earth. Now, it's true that the Gospels don't tell us much about their earthly lives, but we can figure out some of the things about them. For one thing, Matthew's Gospel today says that Jesus went up to Galilee, heathen Galilee, he says, a land of darkness, and there he chose his followers. So we might surmise that the apostles are heathens, unbelievers from the land of darkness. And that's actually the way the Gospels often describe them. We know that eventually they were heroic in following the Lord. They gave their lives testifying to him, but they weren't always heroic. Mark's Gospel, for example, often says they did not understand Jesus. They question him all the time. They don't understand his teaching or his promises. And they're far from perfect too. Peter and Andrew leave their nets when Jesus calls. But they also appeared to see him as a way to human achievement. James and John and their mother seem particularly ambitious. They angered the other apostles for conniving for a place of power in the Lord's kingdom. All of them seem to have their eyes on power and human prestige. You want people to serve you, Jesus told them. But I've come not to be served, but to serve and to give my life for many. So think about the apostles. Matthew the tax collector. That wasn't a very reputable profession. Simon the Zealot. The Zealots in the Lord's day were a revolutionary power. It was a revolutionary party, espousing violence against the Romans. So today, Simon might be described as a terrorist. Judas betrayed Jesus outright. They all left him when he's arrested and put to death. The apostles are not examples of human perfection or human heroism. No. They were never perfect, nor always heroic. They could have failed in an interview for that job. Above all, they're examples of the mercy of God reaching out to human beings who find it difficult and live in the land of darkness. Jesus called them, and he was always true to them. He never told them to go away. He was the one who brought them into the kingdom of God. When we hear the story of the call of Peter and Andrew, James and John at the Sea of Galilee, as we do in today's gospel, we hear the story of our own call. The Sea of Galilee stretches out to here and now, and to us. When we were baptized, Jesus called us to follow him. We too live in a land of unbelief and darkness. But the grace of God is stronger than unbelief or darkness. It can raise up to the land of light, where the blind see, the deaf hear, and the dead are raised. The company of the apostles praises you, O Lord, and may we join them in their praise.